Hey, this is Andrew Brown, and in this video, we're going to be looking at VPC flow logs. So this is pretty straightforward, though there is, from what I remember, a delay from the time that we will actually receive our logs. So that is something we'll have to do is wait about 5 to 10 minutes for it to appear in whichever destination we decide to send it to. But to do this, I'm going to go ahead and create myself a new VPC. Just so that we are working with something new here. So yeah, well, this will just be our flow logs example, and we'll work with 10.0.0.16 as per usual. That looks fine to me. I'm going to use one availability zone. I'm going to have one public subnet, no private subnets, and I do not want to have a VPC endpoint. We'll go ahead and create ourselves this network. And the next thing I'm going to want to do is just open this up in github.dev. So I'm hitting period here. Of course, you should be doing this on your own repo, but if you just want to access the files and not actually writing this code, that's totally fine as well. But we've been utilizing a template over and over again for launching an EC2 instance. I think the one where it was very useful was under Knackle because it was just a bare bones web server, because the idea is that I want to go and hit traffic at this instance because we're trying to capture the VPC flow log data. So I'm going to end up using this template. So what I'll do, I just have to find my downloads folder off screen here. I'm just deleting my older template.yaml. I'm going to go ahead and download this one here. I'm going to go back over to here, and I want to just open a new tab because it seems to have some of the values I want, so I just don't want to get rid of those right away. We'll make our way over to CloudFormation. You can also just type in CFN. That's the short form for CloudFormation. And I'm going to go ahead and upload or create this stack. So let's say upload a file. We'll drag this one on over. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and hit next. And here, this is going to be VPC, or so EC2 instance, EC2 for flow logs. There are a few things we want to change. I mean, I'm liking T3 micros. So let's switch over to that. For VPC and subnet, we'll need to choose that. So there is our VPC. Just want to copy that there. And we'll want to have our subnet. In Canada, for some reason, we always seem to have troubles in 1D, but with T3 micro, I don't think that will be an issue here. So we'll go ahead and paste that in place. Double check that they are correct, because if you're using my values, it's not going to work. We'll go ahead and hit next. And I'm just going to scroll on down, hit next, and we'll go ahead and checkbox I acknowledge, and we'll submit. And we'll wait for that to spin up. As that is going, what I want to do is make my way over to my VPC and enable flow logs. So if we just checkbox that on and go to actions, notice it says create a flow log. We could also have this tab down below here. I'm going to just create it here. And we have a few options. So we'll just say my flow log. And we can either accept, reject, or all. So I want everything. The maximum interval of time duration which a flow package is captured and aggregated, I would assume the more frequent, the more expensive it gets. I don't want to wait 10 minutes, so I'm going to choose 1 minute. We have a few places that we can publish to, CloudWatch Logs, Amazon S3 Bucket, Data Firehose, all great options. I feel like CloudWatch Logs is going to be the easiest. So what we'll do is provide a destination log group. So the name of an existing log group or the name of the log group that you created for this flow log. So I'm surprised they don't have like an easy one-click button to do this, but what we'll do is go over to CloudWatch Logs. And I'm going to make a new log group. I'm not really sure how many log groups I actually have in here. I might have next to none. And again, we're in CA Central. We have a couple from when we were running our Lambda earlier. But I'm going to go ahead and just delete these just because these add up very quickly and I just don't want to see anything in here. And we can use a / to denote what it is. So I'm going to say VPC flow log example as my name here. And we could say this will expire after a day. I'm going to end up deleting this afterwards, but just in case, I don't want to keep data lying around here as that stuff does add up over time. So there is our log group. We need an IAM role to publish to CloudWatch Logs. I apparently have a bunch of junk roles in here over time that I really should delete out. But let's go ahead and set up permissions. Hopefully it'll just auto prompt or fill stuff in. Doesn't look like it. We have a bunch of junk roles in here. I'm just deciding if I want to get rid of some of these. I wonder if I can just delete these. Obviously, don't delete your roles if you're using them for stuff, but I have a lot of junk in here, and I just want to clear it out. Just give me a second. I'll be back in just a moment. I'm going to let this delete. All right, I just waited a few minutes. I'm going to refresh here. Well, it didn't delete all the roles, but well, I guess it did the best it could. Anyway, I mean, I guess these are service-linked ones, so maybe that's the reason why they all say service-linked roles. But I need to go ahead and create myself a new role. This is so that VPC flow log can access CloudWatch log. So trusted entity type. Allow services like to perform actions in this account. So I guess this would be VPC. And yeah, I'm not actually sure for this. Let's go here. You must associate an IAM role with your flow log that has sufficient permissions to publish flow logs to specified log group. Okay. What is it? Publishing the CloudWatch logs. We'll go down here. Here it is. So an IAM role that is associated with your flow log must have sufficient permissions specified for the CloudWatch logs. The IAM role must have the following stuff. And here it says services VPC flow logs. So I think the thing is, we go back here, we really need to make sure this is flow logs. Flow logs, VPC. I just do a custom trust policy because I don't trust it. Because I wasn't seeing where we could choose that. So it's a lot easier if you just have it here, you can just copy and paste it. I try not to use the GUI as much as I can. So now we are choosing VPC flow logs, which is great. And so that's all really this is about, is setting up that trusted identity. We'll go to the next one. And so now we're looking at our policy. I suppose we could just go create our own in this case. So we're going to go over to roles here, or policies, back to IAM. Policies, we'll create a policy. And the service, I really do not like this. I'm going to go over to JSON and just make my life a lot easier. And we'll just copy what we need here. The thing is, we only need this for a very specific resource. So we really should provide that exact resource here. So just add it on the right-hand side. And here we can specify for a specific log group. And if we go back over to our actual log group, we go to CloudWatch logs. When you can, you should always try to narrow things down to exactly what it is using, but we'll go over to log groups. And here it is. If we click into it, there might be like an ARN somewhere that we can utilize. Here it is. I'll grab that. We'll go back over to here. And is that what we're looking for? Yeah, it is. Now, do we need to have the colon asterisk on the end? I'm not sure, but we'll give that a go and see if that works. We'll hit next. We don't want all of them. We just want the individual ones. So I'll just fix that. We'll go next. And this one will be VPC flow logs CloudWatch example. Example for VPC flow logs to CloudWatch permissions. We'll go down below. We'll hit create policy. And so that will create our policy. We'll go back over to our role, wherever that is, and where we're adding the policy. And I'm refreshing. We can drop it down and say customer manage so that we can quickly find the ones that we've created. And I'm looking for that VPC flow log CloudWatch example down below. We'll hit next. And this one's going to be VPC flow log example. Permission to write to CloudWatch logs. Okay, we'll go down and hit create role. And so I would create that role. We'll go back to our VPC flow log. We'll refresh it. We'll drop this down, and we're looking for VPC flow log examples. We can choose either a custom format or the AWS default format. I'm going to stick with that. We're going to go ahead and hit create the flow log. And so it's my assumption that it now is working, and this should be happening every minute. So hopefully that is the case. I'm going to make my way over to CloudWatch logs. I'm going to open this up. And actually, there's a live tail function, so this is something that we could utilize to see this in real time. I actually haven't used it because when this existed was not when I last was recording about CloudWatch logs, and I just don't normally need to utilize this one, but it sounds really good. I mean, I just want everything that's coming through here, so we'll apply those filters. And hopefully that is enough. So it's saying waiting for logs to match the filters. And the only filter we put in here was the fact that it has to come from here. So what I'll do is I'll go over to our VPC, or sorry, over to the EC2 console, because I want to go see what we've launched. And we'll choose instances. And I want to open this address, this public IPv4 address. Hopefully this works. It says it cannot be reached. I'm not really sure about that. We'll just take out the HTTP. There we go. And so that is now triggering. And so what I'm doing is I'm just hitting it a bunch of times. And the reason I'm doing that is that I want to send information through VPC flow logs. If we go back over here, aha, there we go. We got data. So here it is logging stuff, which is very fun. And if we expand this, we can see we have, it's not the most interesting, but the idea is that we have accept, okay, the ENI that it's going to. So yeah, pretty straightforward. So I would call this a success. So let's go ahead and tear this all down. So the first thing is we want to get rid of our EC2 instance. We'll actually get rid of it through CloudFormation because that is actually how we provisioned it. And I think we already have a tab open, so I'll utilize that. We'll delete that. The next thing I want to do is I want to tear down this VPC. I'm not sure if we can do that directly, but I'll get rid of the VPC flow log. I'm not sure if the flow log would be automatically deleted by VPC, but we'll just manually delete it because we're going to have to wait for that instance to spin down anyway. So go over here, and we'll go to flow logs, and I'm going to go ahead and delete my flow logs. So just say delete. We'll make our way over to CloudWatch logs. And now that that VPC flow log is gone, they're really trying to compete with Azure these days. They never had such a complex way of getting into your logs, so that's interesting. And we'll go ahead and delete this. Delete our log group. There we go. Good. So that one's gone. I'm assuming that our CloudFormation instance should be gone by now. It's still waiting to delete. We'll just wait a moment for that to delete, okay? All right, that EC2 has now been torn down, and so we can now just go ahead and get rid of our VPC that we created just for this tutorial. And we'll say delete. Good. And there you go. That is VPC flow logs. We'll see you in the next one, okay? Ciao.